Does Uber charge you the same amount for each reservation, or is it a fluctuating amount?
Well, it was different each time too. I think yesterday was like 60 something dollars, and now today it's saying that it's going to be like 40 something dollars.
Wonder why they do that.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Did you know that Uber uses an algorithm, your personal data, to price your Uber ride? And the same thing goes for drivers. In this video, I'm going to show you definitive proof that Uber is just basically using our data against us to come up with a price. I had this Uber ride on Saturday of last week. And what was really interesting to me about it was set up as a reservation. Now, I saw this reservation come in 4 times. And each time it was priced differently. And you could see that basically right here. Take a look. It was priced at like $17 and $18. On Friday, it was priced for me to my payment to be $27. And then on Saturday, when I actually took the ride, it was priced at $17 again. I originally accepted it at $27 on Friday, but then my schedule changed, so I had to, cancel it. So Uber found another driver. But it was interesting. So what it is my passenger needed to get to work for a week. He said his wife took the car out of town, and his other car was broken down. So for a week, he's just reserving Ubers to get to and from work. That makes sense. But he also said that, yes, Uber was charging him a different price each time, and he didn't understand why. There was no rhyme or logic to it. He didn't understand it. And I found that really interesting. But here's another piece to it that was really interesting. Today, I need to order an Uber. And so I just went into Uber, and I noticed this little caveat, this little nugget of information at the bottom of the screen. So if you scroll to the bottom of Uber, if you live in the state of New York, you're going to see this little warning. And let me read it to you. It says, this price was set by an algorithm using your personal data. What data? We don't know, but that's how it was priced. And if you click on the little information button, you'll see it says that New York state law requires Uber to notify the passenger that this is how it goes down. What does all this mean? Well, I think it's proof. We all know that Uber is doing this, that Uber is not a transportation app. It's a pricing app. It's it's designed to maximize profitability, not through quality service or efficiency or anything like that. It's designed to maximize profitability through a pricing mechanism, basically to get you, the passenger, and me, the driver, to accept a wage or a fare, and Uber is just going to be a broker. So it's really interesting. So again, let's go back and look at it. Uber charged this guy a different rate each day to get to work. There's no consistency in that. How is he supposed to be able to use Uber on a regular basis if the price always fluctuates? And then the second thing is, like, why would they pay a driver different rates? The trip is the exact same, from the exact same time, locations, everything's the same. And now I can hear you say, well, what about surges? One of the trips was on a Friday. Maybe, but a Friday morning isn't like a huge surge opportunity either. It's it's not like it's Friday night at 10 p.m. or something like that. Friday night at 10 p.m. when demand is really high, that doesn't make any sense either. So the question is, what data is Uber using to set this pricing up? That's the thing that's really a challenge. Now let's look at it from the passenger perspective first. Are they using your previous purchasing? How much you've paid before in the past? How much have you tipped before? So if they know that you tip a lot, do they charge a little bit more to maybe siphon off some of those tips? They're like, wow, God, this was really expensive, so I'm going to tip less. Um, are they using like your battery percentage? I've always heard that rumor where Uber looks at the battery percentage on your phone and they charge you more if your battery is less because they know you're in an urgent mode to pay more? Do they use like I don't know. I mean, what data can Uber use to charge you more or less, pay more for the exact same ride? Again, the trip was going from the exact same location to the exact same location at the exact same time, 4 straight days. Yet somehow on Friday it was more. And if it was as an honest, accurate type of thing, even the pennies would be the same. See, you can see one day was like 17 and some change, one day was 18 and some change, the next day was 17 and some change. There's that. Now, from the driver perspective, this is where it gets really gross and ugly. Okay, now I'm happy with the trip, and the passenger was great. I didn't earn a tip on this particular one. Honestly, I didn't need to because when I pulled up, he was standing right there. And I did get paid what I wanted. It was a reserved ride. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm the victim to some extent, at least not up front. I took everything willingly. And if I didn't open up the can of worms that I did, I wouldn't have been so grossed out. But it is gross. Because look, he paid $47, $47 for the trip on Saturday. Now, he said he paid different rates every single day. Look how much. He paid 47 and I got paid 17. So $30 had to go somewhere. Well, first and foremost, let's go through each one of the data points. First, he got a promotion of $3, give or take, or something like that. Then there was a reservation fee, which I think comes out of Uber's dollar amount. It's kind of confusing from the accounting perspective. There are roughly $3 in taxes of varying types. And then there's this oddly round number of $7 for commercial auto insurance. But nobody knows how they calculate it, so I don't know how accurate that is. And other operational expenses, which I believe to be credit card processing transactions, is what I'm guessing. But take a look. Uber profited $19 off of this trip. Now, of that $19, I think $4 is taken out of it to put into this reservation. If you look at the way the transaction works, if we add it all up, I think that $4 comes out of that 19. So let's just say $15 is what Uber profited. I mean, to run an app, just to run an app. And I'm not saying Uber shouldn't profit. Uber should be profitable. But Uber used my data and this passenger's data to manipulate us for whatever reason, good or bad, doesn't matter. And it used our data on our phones and our habits to then price something. And that's manipulative. That's bad. That's bad. I believe in variable pricing. I'm not saying there shouldn't be variable pricing nor variable fares paid to drivers. I think both the driver or the passenger and me, the both of us should be at least aware of what things we can do to control the fare and the prices. A good example would be this. Uber could charge more when there's high demand. And they do, because we know that that's surge pricing. But at least you, the passenger, and me, the driver, we know surges are going on. It's high demand, low supply of drivers, whatever it might be, and it's surge. It's a great economic tool to incentivize drivers to come onto the platform. The people that can pay more do pay more, and then we'll hit price equilibrium again. That's really an effective economic tool. I think there can also be pricing things like you're doing it the last minute, or Saturdays cost more, or whatever. But the variable nature of it, when none of us know this information, none of us know the data, we're all just kind of gambling. Am I lucky when I go on to order the Uber? Do I get the best price? Am I lucky? And then the same thing is true with the driver. It's even worse for the driver because we're going to do 10, 15, 20, 30, 40. I've done as many as 57, 56 rides in one day. It's all variable. And I have like 7 seconds to decide whether that trip is worth it or not. Uber's using like almost like a Pavlov's dog salivating thing. They're flashing big numbers at me. I'm driving and they're like, take this ride, take this ride. It's like a casino. And that's dangerous. It's bad. It's not good. Again, so I'm for variable pricing. you pay more for a different quality of driver or a different quality of car. You pay more for different times a day for different locations. You know what? I would be okay if Uber said we're going to charge more if your phone battery's dying because we know you're urgent to get a ride. Just tell us. I would charge my phone. Right? I would try to find ways to get a cheaper ride, but they're not doing that. They're basically using, again, our data, and we don't know what data they're using to get drivers and passengers to make probably poor decisions. So should I have taken this trip? Yeah, it was an okay day. It wasn't a bad trip for me. Again, I'm not offended that Uber made money. I'm offended that Uber is using my data and they're not telling me what data to use and everything's just random. So it's hard to imagine if you had a business like this, right? Could you operate your business if every single transaction was almost like a casino roll of the dice? That's what Uber's doing. And it's one thing for a major corporation with supercomputers and all these kind of things to make granular penny decisions. In Uber, Tesla, Apple, they all should be doing this. But it's almost impossible for a consumer to solve this. We don't have this infinite level of data. We're just having our data used against us. And it's 100% impossible for a driver to really know down to the penny, probably down to the dollar, if this ride is good or bad. And we're having seconds to decide this. That's where we're at with it. I don't know. What do you think? How do you feel about Uber charging this guy 47 one day? Who knows? 50 the next day, 30 the next day, 70 one day. Who knows what they charge? But how do you feel about variable pricing for the same ride reserved well in advance? Also, how do you feel about the driver getting a variable payment? How do you feel about Uber using your data, unknown to you because you don't know what data they're using, but using your data to set your price? Do you feel they should at least tell us? Let me know in the comments. Hey, my name is Levi. I've been an Uber driver for 5.5 years. I've done well over 13,000 trips. I created this channel to connect with Uber drivers and hopefully build a community. I really want passengers to follow along too, because I think this information, this data, these stories matter to all of us. So I created this podcast as a way to quickly just kind of talk about things that I think matter a lot to me, kind of in the Uber space, service, tipping, etc. Now, for my fellow Uber drivers, for 2025, for 2025, yeah, okay. For this year, go ahead and drive your way. I want you to be safe, healthy, happy, and successful, earning as much money as you possibly can, but ultimately enjoying the ride. Again, my name is Levi. Be well, be safe. Bye.